Okay, continue on from we have talked about application. We want to look at React component as a function and what's going on in the life cycle of component or application. So we'll walk through that. So for example, if we maybe can you guys see this whole thing good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So so if we look at React as a function at runtime, what it means is that because our application is so dynamic, when user interact with our application, something has changed during runtime. It means during what happened on browser when user, for example, we have application that that have two buttons, right? Button show user and button hide user. When user click on show user, it will show username, and then when user click on our user, our client click on hide user, it will hide brand name, right? So that kind of like the dynamic what's going on when user click this button. So as we already know about React, when prop change or when state change, it will trigger re-render. The meaning of re-render means trigger application to be called again. That is mean re-render. Function get called again, function get called again. So what happened here, for example, the first life cycle that happened is that when React start render our component, our app for the first time, when our page load first time, it will, this application, this app function, right? This app function will get called. And when it get called, it first render, it will get mount to the DOM. That is first time function get called. Function render and get mount on the DOM. And for next step, what happened when the state change? In this case, state change is come from our user, our client click on button. For example, if they click on show user state now has changed, so that is trigger the re-render, app re-render, right? And so that the now app re-render, and then it will render with the new new state of show user. Now that's why we see user name Brad here, and then when user change their mind, they click okay, hi user. What happened is that now state change again, because on that click, the set user, set show user has changed from the previous, the current state user was true. Now it was changed to false, so that prop change, and then it's trigger re-render. So every time state or prop change is trigger re-render. So now when it's re-render, it means the app get called again. That's the right cycle of like re-render, re-render. But before it's re-render, it's also have the so the next slide we will see. I just want to show you how that JSX get compiled to JavaScript. Then we can use this Babel to look at it. But right now I'm just gonna skip it really quick, just so you know that we will come back this later. So this slide I already put it last week, so I don't want to I just want to keep it there, but I thought this one is a little bit better. It's actually very similar. So it's talk about rendering phase and commit phase, but I like this one better because it's actually have pre-commit phase. That's what's missing from the upper slide. So here, so that's this cycle here, re-render is what happened on updating. So first time app it get called, it get mount, right? The first time is the component is called or create. And then when state change, it's updating, right? That will be life cycle of updating. And now what about unmounting? So unmounting is will happen if the host, the rule of React is host of component is changed, then it will unmount that previous host and put the new host. So we'll go deep dive this later. Just you know that there will be when React decide what to mount or unmount, it happened on pre-commit phase. If it see that the host is changed, then it will unmount, but the host is not changed, just only property inside host change, it will just update it. It's not unmount. And then if the host change, then it will go to commit phase, which is change the real DOM. If you you might heard a lot about virtual DOM and real DOM. So we have React have virtual DOM, which is using during the pre-commit phase. The virtual DOM is just to like compare the real DOM and pretending kind of like the mirror of the DOM to see if the host different. If it's different, then it will do the unmounting and then commit the new DOM to the real DOM. Why React want to do this? Because again, it's expensive to change real DOM every time. When you do vanilla JavaScript, you will do it remove and then append, remove, append, right? Every time on that cycle happen in the real time of interact with the real DOM. It's expensive. It gets slowed down. It whatever like. But React use virtual DOM to compare it first if it need to be unmount or not. That's kind of like help. That's why people love React, because it's just using the real DOM. It's have virtual DOM. It's really this concept is start from React using virtual DOM, and then we'll go back to this again and again so that you kind of like see more and more what I'm talking about, mounting, unmounting, and then commit and pre-commit. So the next slide will be, for example, on this one will show you when the DOM will get changed or unmount. So the first line here, we have dip that wrap over counter. And now for some reason, state has changed, and then we do re-render. And then the re-render say, oh, now instead of dip, we only use section, even though it's wrapped over the same counter. But host is mean that's like dip is the host, section is the host. It has changed from dip to section. It will unmount the dip and it will unmount children. So the whole tree, because DOM is a tree, right? DOM is a tree. The dip, for example, this dip become host or become section, is took out the host and children of the host, and then it will remount with section from dip to section. It will unmount dip and then mount with section. And then but to help prevent that, that's also the trick. If we don't want the whole tree to be collapse. If you want to still save counters for some reason, then we can use key, because still React will do that kind of like key will help optimize the unmount and remount process. It might be too deep, but just so you'll be aware of you know, a lot of little thing that React giving to us. But for now, just so you know that if the host change, it will unmount. But if so, we'll so now come back to host. Understand host deeply again. That oh, it's too small. Let's just we extend this a little bit. So what is host I'm talking about? And JSX syntax, right? That is come from button that have class name blue. When I'm talking about host, it means the type of that element. And then host can be the real, the instance of DOM node, like anything that with lowercase is the DOM, is the DOM node. And anything with the uppercase is React element. So it's the same, so host will refer to both either DOM or either React element. It just look at uppercase up, but it will be the type that what React looking at. If type change, it will unmount. Type is mean host. It's host change or type change. It will unmount, do unmount. But if prop change, type still the same. For example, if I say, okay, next render, I don't want button to be blue, I want button to be red. So the next render, I say button with class name of red. It will say, oh, type button still the same. Only class that changed from blue to red. So I will not unmount that button, but I just change class name. So for that next re-render, it will keep buttons still on the node, but it just changed the property. That's what's so that's the meaning of mount and unmount. It will look at type. Then let's see what is this Java this function, and then we will abstract it from JSX into into function. Let's look at line by line. The whole thing here is function form. Function it's just JavaScript, right? It's what's written like a JavaScript. And then this slide to this slide is also JavaScript. It's the setup. It's where like we set up function. We might do declare variable. We might do some logic, anything. And then it's just like any function. And then we do return, right? We have variable, we have logic, and then we have return. This is inside its function. But as soon as we enter to this this bracket, then we start to enter to the JSX land. So JSX land is just the syntactic sugar of an object. So so if we look at this, for example, see that bracket blue, it can be referred to this object of type button and property. It's just the same thing. It's a syntactic sugar. So when we come back here, we look at dialogue with children of message and children of input, right? Anything that in between dialogue, it will be children. So how can we make this object? Because for this function, what it do is just actually just return object. It didn't do anything. It didn't really mount the DOM. It just return object. That is re-rendering phase. Is when it get called, it's return new object. It return object or new object, whatever. It might be new, it might be the same object, but it's just return an object. It didn't do anything about mounting or unmounting the DOM. And then that object that was returned, when we look at dialogue is the host, right? Because its parent is the host dialogue. And then what in between this object will be property, and then children is a part of property. So it will have property of children, and that children will have message, which is text, like message text, and then it will have another nested element, another object which have type input and then prop. So prop is empty because there's no children or no property, no class name inside. So it will be just empty object. So right here, is anybody wanna any question, or should I keep moving?
I don't have questions.
Don't have
Yeah,
question.
you can keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
We not get an
I
concept
do.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
For the, it pretty much the slide on the right side is that what behind the scene of the slide on the left. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
We just want to look at our implementation that we wrote every day. What is it in the term of function? Because again, we go back to like why we want to understand function execution context. What's going on? Just to kind of like get mental model of is this just a function that return object? This is like this thing that is returned, it just return an object here. And then when that object get returned, then we will talking about that it get updating, and then it will return object. And then that object will be onto the pre-commit phase, which is that object, which is the refer to the node. The object node will get compared on the pre-commit phase. If this type is stay the same, if it's the same, that object will be still on that node. It won't get unmount. So just to understand that the render phase is happen when, or re-render phase is happen when application get called again and again. That's just re-render phase. And then it will return object, and that object will be compared on pre-commit phase. And then it will commit so that, oh, is this gonna be mount or unmount? That kind of a step what's going on. And then
So if I understand it, the render will happen before mounting, right?
right.
Okay.
Oh yes. It gotta be rendered first. So if we go back to the first slide here, app here. So again, first time when this component get called, when user request our URL, right, like twitter.com, and then our server send the user or the JavaScript, and then it will read, and then it will call this app function for the first time. And that when the first time user ever see our page or homepage, let's say if it's request homepage, we see homepage. This first time homepage get called, it means the first render, and when the DOM get mount, the object that is returned from the object here is returned, and it mount on the DOM. And then when user interact with our application, then state has changed, and it trigger re-render. The word re-render is mean call function again, call app function again. And then it will return with the new prop, new state, right? It will re-render, it will return object with the new property, which is the show user state. And then when user click on another button, it trigger re-render. And then when it trigger re-render, which means this function get called again. And then the show user has changed from whatever true to false, and now it will return to the update state. And then it happened again and again if user interact with our application. And this is just the first time introduced to this idea. So if we just like feel overwhelming, we will come back again because I look at that YouTube video 3 times to get that mindset. So now we get kind of like understand that inside the return is actually just an object. It didn't really do the mounting. The mounting happened when we actually, if we look at here, now it's the time to look at this, what's going on in the compiler. It's actually get caught in the React create element, and that's the object that is got returned. That's what's going on. What happened when it create an element and become the DOM node, and it's actually was what get rendered by call it React DOM, right? React DOM is the library that do the work on putting element in the DOM node. So to understand about how when we use React library, we always have to import React DOM, right? Because the React DOM is the one that do the work responsibility on mount and unmount. React itself is just create element. That's why we cannot just use React alone. We use another thing, another library to help mount the DOM. We can come back to this again just to see like what's going on. If we want to know what's going on, we just use Babel and then put your application and look at what is in here line by line. So again, if we look at this slide, actually this slide, as a function, when we look at what's when it get re-rendered, right? If we look at function form get called, so it will have the execution context open, right? So now we have, let's say, execution context. If this got re-rendered again, so somewhere get triggered by user, and then form function execution context get called, right? We walk to first slide again. The same line. Let message is null, so it do the local memory, right? It will say, okay, message assigned to null. Same thing here. And then next line, which is the same thing. It will check if the show message is falsy, or is the show message is truthy value, then we will return this message. So now where we get message. Oh, message is null. So the first time, show message. Oh, show message is show message is a prop. So somewhere it might have show message, maybe true or false, I don't know, but it will check first if the prop sending show message as true, then we will have message
reassign.
Assign message here. We will reassign message to this. That's right. We will reassign message to this. And now we have message instead of null to become a paragraph tag. And then, yes,
I have question.
yes.
For in terms of talking about execution context,
Mm-hmm.
when we run the function form, and
Mm-hmm.
then in a function form, we passing prop show message. Is that prop show message is going to store in the global memory or do anything with that at the first time when we run the function?
That's freaking good question. It will process as a parameter, right? This is function. This is parameter. So it will process somewhere. And then that will be, it's actually the structuring prop, right? It's actually show message. For React, we might say props, right? And then we structuring. So when we process this parameter, we will have, in local memory, we will have props. Prop with this object here. And then we will say show message, because we look at it because it's destructuring. Show message equals show message, right? So show message is the name. When we do this destructuring, which means we assign property name with the same, we use property name with the value
With the same
of,
value. So
right, with the same
name
value.
of the
It's
value.
just shorthanded, but it's actually do show message equal whatever show message prop, and that will evaluate to, if it's object, it will be object. It will, if it's primitive value, it will evaluate to that whatever primitive value. For example, this assume is Boolean, so Boolean is primitive, so it will assign to, I don't know, it might be true. Let's say it's true. Then show message will be evaluated to true.
Okay, so that means the show message that it's a value.
It's value.
It's not object, right? Because we already get that, right? Destructuring it out already by that
yes,
curly basis.
right. Because this is just function definition, but somewhere on our application, when user interact with form, it will call form, and then it will pass with argument in here, and that argument will process with parameter here. But so it might be too complex here, but so which means the probably parents of this form might inside other execution context, and that parents pass prop here and call this, it get trigger re-render with the argument that pass. That's why we get argument here, but just it might sound confusing because we didn't really open up execution context on parents, so we don't see where show message come from. But just,
yeah, but it's definitely it's already on the stack, right?
Right. So probably it might be stack of like global here that is calling, and then when global see the line, oh, we need to call form, and then form is, so now form get called here, and then the parents that was passed the prop to form will, so form will get called with the prop that passed, and then form open its own execution context here and do processing parameter with prop that have show message as a key with the value of show message that pass from here, argument value here become evaluate here. A little bit.
So I think to answer by question, I think if the show message is from what I see, it's only going to be in the function execution context because it's declared here. Because if the form is a function, the show message, when they invoke the form function, they can just pass like true or false, you know.
Right.
But you just name it show message, and it's only available, show message only available in this function, not going to be in the global. But yeah, but it could be other way too, like if maybe they create a variable in the global execution before, and then they pass that variable into this function argument. It could be that too, and that's gonna be in,
because
also
it's
in
not clear here, because like we don't have we don't, because we don't clarify, we don't like
see everything.
show message, so we don't have cons message equals something or aside or anything. So yeah, that probably gonna say that it's gotta be somewhere other side of this context execution.
Right. For example, if we have, so now form is the parents of input, right? If we actually pass, if we have input here, and then we pass prop here, so we see input also have title, okay, title or label property, right? Title, and then we pass it as we want input to be name, title name, right? That how we, that, if you see this, it will see it's actually inside function execution context of form. If the form get re-rendered, right, it will trigger this to be called too. And that's how input open its execution context here. And then it will, inside input its execution context, it will process title as name. That's how we send prop. This is the prop, right? Same thing as we send prop to input, we send with attribute title is name. So that will be execution on context of input, that it will open up and then it will process title is equal name. It's actually inside the prop object. Sorry, it's actually inside the prop object. Prop object that have title equal name. We can come back this again.
Just to be clear a little bit, when you mean when the React gonna create the execution context here, when that re-render or when it render? It's just how to, you know, I try to adapt the JavaScript execution context to be, you know.
That is really valid and good question. Every time parent get called, it will trigger re-render children. That's why when this form get called, get re-render, it will go one by one, open up dialog, and dialog have input as a children, is so that it will open up input.
So every element here, I mean the tag, the dialog tag, is like that how when it's create the context execution, right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So for example, this dialog happen to be DOM node. What if we create our own dialog with the big D, right? If this is the React real component, it will find where is function dialog, so we define function, we define our own component by writing function, right? So somewhere on our script, we probably have dialog, const dialog equal to whatever. So it will find that dialog function definition, and it will go through the whole instruction inside, and then it will return out something, because at the end of every function, we will return out something. And then when the dialog found that, I also have children input, it will trigger input to be called. And then right now, because input is the real DOM element, but if we happen to create our own input with the uppercase I, right? So which means somewhere in our script we have function input somewhere in the script that is function definition that have some logic inside above and return something here. So that's how like it's kind of like recursively go through the
okay.
through the DOM node here.
So that's how React like do it for us. Like every element is have a return key with the type of that type, right? And if it have a prop, so it will have a prop and thing like that.
Yeah, the whole tree will get re-rendered and will return an object, and then so re-render will happen, and then we'll return an object. But the optimized way of React is to compare object and object. If it's the same object, it won't take out the DOM. It will unmount the DOM. It will just change the property, because changing the property is not expensive. So every time, suppose the red one is parents, it prop or state in parents, this red one is changed, it will trigger the whole DOM tree here. If it will go to children and children of children, and every component that get called re-render, it will return object, and then it will return object, and then the whole nested object will be compared. And again, look at type first. Is type change? It will take out the DOM and mount. If it's not, it will change just the property. We can come back again. It just start to like build up. It's not super important to understand right now, but it is. I feel like it's good to know when you want to read other people code, or you want to read the blog and what they refer to in the term of what is render, what is mount, what is unmount. At least we understand what they're talking about, like what point in time of what happened in function in the runtime. And so again, if you see here, when this, oops. My point is when this function execution context get called, it will set up this variable in memory, and then it will return the object. This is just the object, and you will see that it will return with message, right? So that message is what is inside the local memory of function form. That is the variable that was set up here. Oops. Oh, hold on just a second. I don't know why my computer. Okay, this is just the first round of introduction to this concept. So it might be, a lot going on. It will take kind of like digestion. So that's fine. That's really normal. Okay, so next we'll see. It's the question that I have about then why I want to show this execution context, because you will see that every time instance get called, it will set up environment inside here, right? So which means it's the new setup environment every time it get called. And how can we persist state between re-rendering? When I'm talking about re-rendering here, like if we look at this again, we have to like go back and forth, like again and again and again. So every time, my meaning is that every time this app get called, right? It's set up variable here, right? Let's think about it, and then we might have to come back again. So when this app get called, for example, what happened? Oh, function execution context open, right? App function execution context. It will process first line, which is it will do assign variable. So we have use state that is returning to value to us, which is show and set show, right?
Kind of initialize thing.
Yeah. And then that is initial value. So what happened on this slide is that it's actually, this is called kind of like the way to access this structuring variable name. So it's equal to, we have show, right? Show user equal to calling function of user state, right? Calling function of user state with the initial value of false, right? That will be this result will be evaluated and then we'll get value, so that if we evaluate it, is that the initial value. So set show of user is the API that we get. I'm sorry, use state is the API that we get from React. We didn't write use state our own. We use React API. So it, you know, it got through like their own execution context or whatever, that I don't know like what going on here, but at the end it will return the result with the initial value that's stored in show user, so that now show user will have evaluation to false, right here. That's what's going on. It's become false. And then now it's process set user, which is function definition.
Oh, it's a function. Okay, cool.
It's return function definition. That's what happened, this line. And then after that, this function, this app function will return object for us. Return object, right?
So that means all the element that inside of the return is the whole object.
Right.
That we talked earlier.
The whole DOM node, whatever it's have. So DOM is have div here, right? This is div, and then it's have button here, which is sibling, right? Button, right? If we diagram as a DOM node, that's what object div that have object button, but two button nested inside the div. And we can go back to that again, refer to the diagram on this. We can try to put this inside Babel and see, you know, how it look like. But that's a DOM tree. So now we return the DOM with the node. It's a binary tree. It's look like binary tree for us. It's return. Oh, DOM tree, not binary tree. It's just a DOM tree. So that is. So my question is, because as you know, variable when it get called again, right? Oh, when this function execution context return, right? Return. So we get object, but then how can we precise? And then garbage collector will like, okay, eat up the whole thing here. So what about this value? How can this value of show user will be the most update show user, that if the third time the app get called, right? How can we get that value of the show user, which is now become true, right? It should be true right now. in our human eye, it should be true because it's first time. What's first time here is be false, right? And for some reason, state of false of user or show user false get transferred to the second call here, second execution context of app. Now state of show user is true. And as we know, if we open execution context and garbage collector it up, show user inside here is gone, go. How can we get that true? That will persist for the third time call.
Right? This is about the closure?
That is closure.
Yeah.
And then we can go, we can look at closure, how closure work real quick. And now you will, if you see closure, you will, oh, okay, that's how it's not, it's, you still be able to work with React without understand closure, but it will be helpful for, in the long run if you understand closure, so you can get deep or advanced trick to do with React, and you'll be fun, hopefully. So that's the whole idea of learning, why we want to learn execution context, garbage collector, and then now
I think
JavaScript.
We might should, we have only 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Or maybe 40 minutes. If anyone, we should like kind of wrap up now.
Wrap
and
up.
Then if, everyone have a open for the question or thing like that.
Before we wrap up, then that's kind of like the whole idea. Now we're gonna learn closure. This is the last three wrap up, and then we will see again. That's closure that happen, and then also introduced to asynchronous a little bit, but it seems a lot again, but it's actually when you understand it, then it's not really not like not so intimidating. Okay, anyone wanna?
Yes. Can you give me some example? I do heard a lot when people says do not touch the virtual DOM, and that's why the React can be React have the React DOM. I understand just the general what does that mean, but I can not picture like if you can give me the example how's the code working, like how we do not touch the visual DOM by like what, maybe we build a component and we're using the React element.
Actually, it might, I think, actually what said is do not touch the real DOM, use the virtual DOM. Virtual DOM is what React create. So to understand why we don't want to touch the real DOM is when we really manipulate it with vanilla JavaScript, right? When we manipulate DOM, we access DOM with like document dot append child. I don't remember all of it. Document dot remove child. Those remove and append is expensive. Every time DOM the real DOM take down, and the new DOM, the new node put it up, it's slow. It's really will slow down browser, and it will get user experience, bad user experience.
Yeah, I would say that I heard that someone said like it's take longer to manipulate the HTML page because it have a lot of CSS and styling, thing like that. It's a lot faster that you manipulate the JS file.
I think
to do that.
I do understand that concept, but I cannot think in the code, like in the React, how the React work. Like
so but that my question too. I mean I don't understand like why when if you have a virtual DOM chain, right? When is the real DOM chain? It's chain every time that you compare to the virtual DOM, or like what then is mean that's gonna re-render? I mean, it's gonna change the Leo DOM anyway, or it just change one time of the Leo DOM, or something like that.
So if this is React virtual DOM, so virtual DOM is come from React. The real DOM is real DOM. Virtual DOM
Virtual DOM is the React.
Is API of React, is mechanism of React. Before React have virtual DOM, we have Angular version, like old version. That Angular didn't use virtual DOM. And then now React introduced virtual DOM for the first time. And then people start to adapt concept of virtual DOM, because what virtual DOM do is that it will create its own DOM node that will have kind of like mirroring what the real DOM have. And instead of like really manipulate the real DOM directly, it will evaluate. It will go pre-commit phase first. It will check, oh, if this type and this type is the same. If it's the same, it will keep that. It will borrow that. It won't do anything. And then if we check if this type and this type change, if this type not change, it will keep the DOM node here, still the real DOM here. And if we say, oh, this one and this one, if this one changed, the type is changed, now it will take down the real DOM node. And it will put.
At that time, they re-render or not? The real DOM is manipulate again or not? Or it's not? It just
Re-render happen first. Re-render is mean we calling function again. Re-render just mean it's we return same object or new object. I don't know, it's depend on of the way we return object, right? So that's why, like, so the word re-render is not the same as unmount or mounting. Re-render is just the object that we return. We calling function and we return object. And now object that we return will return to virtual DOM. Each node is the object node, right? It's object node. For example, we have app that got re-render again and again when prop change, and then it still re-render, it still return object, but it mount or unmount or not is in this phase. So this is the phase that check mount or unmount, right? But re-render will just return object. Re-render. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I understand now, because I confused myself to be like, oh, maybe we can control by like writing in the React to be able to handle visual DOM and do not manipulate with the real DOM. But actually the React have the library or the behind the scene, they have the virtual DOM do that for us. We can, okay, all right, okay, I get it now.
And now maybe the advanced trick is that how we can prevent re-render. That will be another advanced concept.
that was the thing that I probably confused about, like if it's re-render or if it's like, but I think I kind of understand now, like the thing is the re-render is just mean to update the function only. It's not thing to do with the mounting. The mounting and unmounting is just do with the DOM node. Is that correct? Right. Oh, okay.
That will be React DOM library taking care of. Render object to the DOM. That's React library itself is just call function, return function, and listen to property change and
then the virtual DOM and real DOM it reflect each other. Whatever the virtual DOM look like, the real DOM gonna look the same. Is that
right?
what?
It's every time it get called, the new version DOM will start to mimic the real DOM first, and then start to compare. If the new DOM and the virtual DOM is the same, if not, it will.
But then on our browser, are we looking at the virtual DOM or the real DOM?
So virtual DOM is API of JavaScript, which is when we import React, right? React library. This is the module of React that is, you can access this anywhere if you import React library. It's not like browser have React. You have to import on your application so that you can access this thing. If you don't import React, you import Vue, you can't access
and
this.
now the React is own React have their own environment, the webpack, whatever, to link to the browser or whatever, so that when we try to use it on the browser, we build all the bundle, all the thing and display it later on. Okay, I think that's why.
To mount it here, then we combine with React DOM, React DOM library, React.dom. Every time and that's usually we use just one time in the index, right? We have React. I don't have file right now. Because we don't see React DOM a lot, because we use just the entry point where we have like React DOM create or something as I don't remember code.
Yeah.
That's what it do here. It do mount and unmount from the object that return from React.
We saw that in the app, I think.
Yeah.
In the app
and
file.
Then right now we have to re-render every time that's for app that get called. So if app is here and app have children, so every children will get called to, and how can we optimize that to prevent the children that didn't really have nothing to do with the prop change in the app? How can we prevent that? That it will be another concept. But for now, to understand that React already help optimize working to manipulate the real DOM by have virtual DOM. And then we can optimize React even better by prevent from re-render every time. That will be another concept for that.
Okay. For a little bit, continue with my question. When we the first time we render fade, right? When we render phase, and then the next step is going to be pre-commit phase, and then they're going to compare between virtual DOM and real DOM,
right?
And then they will decide to be mount or unmount,
right? So the first time app get called is will render for the first time. It's not a re-render, it's render for the first time. Render for the first time is mean function get called first time. And what happened in the DOM node? Right now, browser have nothing, really have nothing, right? It's blank, it's like no tree. It's just a document. The browser DOM have just document, start with document. So now, which means more likely every component that will need to be rendered on the home page will be mount here, right? Mount for the first time. So you will come across a lot for when page load for the first time, when component mount for the first time, that would initial render, that what happened. And now when it's re-render, it doesn't mean it need to be mount again. It's already there, but if it need to be unmount or not, that's another kind of like scenario that we have to see.
That is come to be pre-commit phase.
Right, that's pre-commit. When it get re-render, it will look at on the pre-commit phase by compare the host or the type. If change from div to section, then it will be unmount the div and mount in mount section.
Okay.
we can come back this again. It's start to digest, right? Start to kind of like get.
Yep. I think we about the time 1:30, and
Okay.
thank you everyone to come to join us today. But if anyone have more question, I still open for that.
Anyone?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Okay, I will stop recording now.